Hey there and welcome to our ultimate guide to Noob Defense. Now don't let the simple looks of this game fool you. Underneath that easy exterior lies a seriously tough challenge. You'll find yourself staring at that defeat screen more often than you might expect, especially when you're figuring out the best strategies. But that's exactly why we're here. In this video, we're diving deep into the best units you should be using to make sure you stay on top and rack up those wins. Whether you're just starting out or you've been playing for a while, we've got the tips and tricks to help you make the most of your unit's value and build an unstoppable defense. We'll be going over the tier list, breaking down each unit's strengths and weaknesses, and giving you the inside scoop on how to trade and upgrade like a pro. Trust me, once you've got this info, you'll be breezing through levels that used to seem impossible. So sit back, relax, and get ready to take your Noob Defense game to the next level. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking units in Noob Defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Rich Noob, King Noob, Fighter Noob, and Noob. Alright, let's talk about the underdogs of Noob Defense, those C tier units that, let's be honest, might not be the ones you're excited to add to your roster. But hey, we've all been there, right? You start the game and these guys seem like a decent pick, only to realize they fall short of your expectations. So let's break down why these units might not be your best bet, but also why they still deserve a bit of love. First up, we've got Rich Noob. Now don't get me wrong, this guy is a solid money farming unit. If you're looking to stack up on some sweet in-game currency, he's not a terrible choice. But here's the catch, he's VIP exclusive, meaning unless you're ready to pull out the credit card, you won't be able to grab him. And honestly, when you unlock King of the Empire, you'll quickly realize that this guy's farming abilities are kind of redundant. King of the Empire is just way better for farming, and you don't really need Rich Noob in your lineup. So, while he's a good unit for those with VIP access, he's not exactly essential for your strategy. And did I mention his value? 10 gems, might as well save those for something more useful. Then we have King Noob, the key to unlocking King of the Empire, the best money-making unit in the game. But let's be real, before you get King of the Empire, King Noob is a total disappointment. Its money-making performance is terrible, and it honestly doesn't bring much to the table early on. You're better off playing without him until you can get the big guy. At the end of the day, the only reason you might want King Noob is to unlock his more powerful counterpart, but other than that, he's just a gem sink. And by the way, he's worth only 1 gem, so I wouldn't be losing sleep over it. Now, let's talk about Fighter Noob. This unit is probably one of the worst you'll encounter in Noob Defense. Seriously, if you've got this guy on your team, you're not exactly going to be setting the battlefield on fire. His damage per second is underwhelming, and honestly, every other stat is pretty lackluster too. If you're going for a solid team, Fighter Noob just doesn't cut it. At the end of the day, you'll be much better off investing in some other units that can actually pull their weight. And the best part? This guy is worth you gems. That's right, 0. So, unless you're trying to fill up space in your roster for fun, I wouldn't even bother. And finally, we have Noob, the quintessential starter unit. You can place 25 of them on the field, which might seem like a good idea at first, but let's face it, they are probably the worst unit in Noob Defense. They don't do much damage, they're slow, and overall, they just don't pack the punch you'll need as you progress in the game. But hey, if you're early on and just need some extra bodies to hold down the fort while you grind for better units, they can be useful. But don't get too attached. Their value is also 0 gems, so yeah, don't expect them to carry your team to victory anytime soon. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Pyromancer Noob, Slammer Noob, Assassin Noob, Swordsman Noob, and Soldier Noob. Alright, let's dive into some of the units that are chilling in the B tier of Noob Defense. These guys aren't exactly bad, but they're far from being the heroes of the battlefield. So, if you're wondering whether to invest your gems or just leave them in your inventory, I've got you covered. First up, we've got Pyromancer Noob. Now this one can deal some decent area of effect damage, especially when you need to hit a bunch of enemies at once. But, and here's the catch, it's kind of overshadowed by Gunslinger Noob. Why? Well, Gunslinger Noob is pretty much better at range damage and costs way less, plus it's a lower rarity, no upgrades, no fancy evolutions, just a solid but forgettable unit. So, is it worth investing in? Not really, it's only worth 1 gem, and that's about it. Next, let's talk about Slammer Noob. If you're all about that single target melee damage, Slammer Noob might seem like a good pick at first. But hold up, When you take a good look, it's pretty overpriced for a legendary unit. It doesn't bring anything else to the table, and compared to other legends, it feels like a bit of a letdown. Honestly, it's probably one of the weakest legendary units right now, which is saying something. For 1 gem, you're better off looking elsewhere. Moving on, we've got Assassin Noob. This little guy's a mixed bag, offering both melee and range damage, which makes him a solid starter unit. He does a decent job early on, but that's about it. The problem? Well, he's currently the worst epic unit in the game. He doesn't have any evolutions or upgrades, which means he won't scale well as you progress. Honestly, don't waste your gems on him, especially when you can get something better for road gems. Now, we have Swordsman Noob. This guy is solid, offering good single target melee damage for a rare unit. He's definitely useful early in the game, but once you start leveling up and unlocking better units, you're going to want to swap him out. He just doesn't hold up in the long run. So, while he's not bad for early waves, he's not going to carry your team to victory. For soul gems, it's better to just use him as a stepping stone until you can get something stronger. Lastly, Soldier Noob. This unit provides a decent range and DPS combo, and it has a high placement count, which means you can deploy it often. However, just like the others, it's best used early on in the game. Once you get past those first few waves, you'll quickly find yourself swapping Soldier Noob out for something more powerful. But for now, it does the job for 0 gems. So, in a nutshell, these B tier units aren't the worst, but they're certainly not the ones you should be counting on for the long haul. Save your gems, swap them out as soon as you can, and don't look back. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Katana Noob, Laser Noob, Mafia, Boss Noob, Gunslinger Noob, and Sniper Noob. Alright, let's dive into the world of Noob Defense. Today, we're taking a look at some of the A tier units, those that are decent but might not be game changers on their own. Don't get me wrong, these units have their moments, but you might want to think twice before investing too heavily in them. So, let's break it down and see which ones are worth your precious gems and which ones might leave you feeling a little underwhelmed. First up, we have Katana Noob. Now, this one's a bit of a mixed bag. On the plus side, it's essential if you want to unlock Samurai Noob, which is widely considered one of the best units in the game. But if we're being real, Katana Noob doesn't do much on its own. It has fairly lackluster damage per second and other stats, so while it plays a key role in your strategy, it's not going to carry your team. It costs 5 gems, which is a bit much for something so underwhelming. If you're aiming for Samurai Noob though, it's worth the investment. Next, let's talk about Laser Noob. It has solid DPS and range, making it one of the better legendary units right out of the box. But here's the kicker, it has a pretty lackluster evolution. If you're looking for a unit that will evolve into something awesome, Laser Noob might not be your go-to. It's still a solid pick for early stages, but getting Katana Noob should be a higher priority if you're trying to get to the best units faster. Plus, it's only 3 gems, so it won't totally break the bank. Now, we move on to Mafia Boss Noob. Sensa Basub. This one's a solid starter unit, and honestly, it's a better version of the Gunslinger Noob, which we'll talk about in a second. The downside, the upgrades and placement cost a bit more compared to other starter units. It's not bad by any means, but it lacks a solid evolution, which makes it less appealing than other legendary units that have better upgrades. At 2 gems though, it's a fair value if you're looking for something reliable early on. Speaking of Gunslinger Noob, this guy used to be the cream of the crop for early game DPS. It's definitely one of the best starter units and has pretty decent DPS for an epic unit. However, once you start unlocking higher rarity units, it's going to get left behind pretty quickly. The upgrades are also on the expensive side, so you're better off putting your resources into something that will grow with you through the game. At just 1 gem, it's not a bad choice for those early battles, but don't expect it to carry you in the long run. Finally, we've got Sniper Noob. The Sniper. It's great early on with its ability to one-shot most of the initial enemies, and its range is absolutely fantastic. But let's be real, it has terrible total DPS. Once you start unlocking rarer units, Sniper Noob becomes pretty useless. Its range might seem impressive, but if you're relying on it for DPS, you're gonna hit a wall. Still, for just 1 gem, it's a solid starter unit that can help you get through those first few waves. So, there you have it. These A tier units in Noob Defense are solid, but don't expect them to be the star of your team. They each have their strengths, but they're not game changers. If you're just starting out, they can definitely help you get through some tough spots, but once you unlock more powerful units, you might find yourself leaving these guys in the dust. Happy gaming, and make sure to save those gems for the real heavy hitters. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Fallen Devil Noob, Gladiator Angel Noob, Lifesaver Noob, Samurai Noob, Devil Noob, Angel Noob, and Hyper Laser Noob. Alright, let's dive straight into the crazy world of Noob Defense and talk about some of the S tier units you definitely want to know about. These are the top contenders that can really make a difference when you're building your squad. Let's be real, some units are just so powerful that they practically carry your entire team. But of course, not all are created equal, so let's break down the cream of the crop. First up, we've got the Fallen Devil Noob. This unit shines when it comes to dealing both area of effect and single target damage. It's got some serious potential for clearing out mobs and taking down bosses. However, here's the catch, it's a bit underwhelming compared to those S+ tier units, which just outclass it in terms of raw power. Still, if you're looking for consistent damage output, Fallen Devil Noob is a solid pick, and at 200 gems, it's not too hard to get your hands on. Next in line, we have the Gladiator Angel Noob. Now, let's be real, this unit is pretty much the best starter unit in Noob Defense right now. It's a fantastic option for those early rounds and gives you a solid base to build your team. But here's the thing, it does have its downsides. It's got a low placement count, which limits its usefulness in larger fights, and as you progress, you'll find that other meta mythic units start to outscale it in terms of power. But hey, if you're just getting started, it's definitely worth the 150 gems. Then we have the Lifesaver Noob, and this one is a game changer, especially when you're facing off against tough bosses. It's hands down the best support unit in Noob Defense, and it brings insane buffs and stun resistance for your allies. It's absolutely overpowered when fighting the heavenly boss, thanks to its ability to resist stuns. The catch? To truly make the most out of this unit, you need a good team around it. You can't rely on it to carry you solo, but for 150 gems, it's one of the most valuable support units you can grab. Now, let's talk about the Samurai Noob. This unit is required to craft the best unit in the entire game, which is a big deal. It also has solid damage per second and other stats that make it a great asset to your team. But don't get too excited, Samurai Noob doesn't bring any utility to the table. And, as powerful as it is, many other mythic units just outperform it in the damage department. Still, for 100 gems, it's worth picking up, especially if you want to craft some of the best units in the game. Speaking of solid but somewhat basic units, we have the Devil Noob. This unit delivers some decent melee single target DPS, and it's fairly easy to get, so you won't have to break the bank for it. But, and this is a big but, many other mythic units outshine it in terms of damage and range. Plus, compared to most other mythic units, its range is pretty limited, which means it's not as versatile as you might want. At 100 gems, it's a decent pick, but don't expect it to carry your team. Then we have the Angel Noob. This one is a powerhouse when it comes to support. It has fantastic utility and can be used to craft many other overpowered units in the game. The downside, its DPS is just okay, and when it comes to raw damage output, other mythic units easily take the lead. But if you're looking for a support unit to make your team even stronger and help with crafting, it's worth considering, and for 100 gems, it's a solid option. Finally, let's talk about the Hyper Laser Noob. This unit is an upgraded version of the Laser Noob, and while it has some okay single target DPS, it's honestly the worst mythic unit in Noob Defense. It really has no place in the current meta, and compared to other units, it just doesn't measure up. If you've got 100 gems burning a hole in your pocket, you might be better off saving them for something else, because Hyper Laser Noob is unlikely to make a real impact on your roster. So there you have it. These are the S tier units in Noob Defense, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. Whether you're building up a support team, crafting the best units, or dealing crazy damage, there's something for everyone here. Just remember, it's all about balancing the right units for the right situation, and not every unit will be a perfect fit for your playstyle. Choose wisely and you'll be unstoppable. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Sakura Samurai Noob, Upgrade Engineer Noob, Fallen Angel Noob, Engineer Noob, and King of the Empire Noob. Alright, so you're in the middle of a Noob Defense grind, right? You've unlocked some units, but you're not quite sure which ones are worth all those gems or if they'll actually help you dominate the game. Well, let me break down some of the top tier units for you, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly which ones to aim for. First up, we've got the Sakura Samurai Noob. Now, this unit, it's like the superhero of Noob Defense. Insane full area of effect damage per second makes it a total game changer. Honestly, this unit will solo carry you through most of the game's content, including endless mode, where it just seems unstoppable. The only downside, it's extremely tough to get your hands on, but if you manage it, you'll be breezing through the toughest levels like a boss. It's definitely worth the grind to unlock it. Next, let's talk about the Upgrade Engineer Noob. This one's another powerhouse, but for slightly different reasons. Instead of relying solely on raw damage, this guy summons mobs that help deal damage to the enemies. It's one of the best towers in Noob Defense, and it can easily carry you through most game content. Sure, it might not have the same single target DPS as some of the other units, but the way it spawns mobs to back it up makes it a must-have. At 450 gems, it's a solid investment. Then there's the Fallen Angel Noob, which has a perfect balance between single target and AoE DPS. This one is another top tier unit, and while it may not do AoE damage as well as the Sakura Samurai Noob, its insane single target damage more than makes up for it. If you're looking for something that'll hit hard on both fronts, the Fallen Angel is a great choice. With a value of 550 gems, it's definitely one of the best units you can aim for in Noob Defense. If you're just starting out and want something reliable without breaking the bank, the Engineer Noob is your guy. It also summons mobs to deal damage, and although it doesn't have the same single target DPS as some of the other units, it's still a solid tower to rely on early on. You'll be able to get it for just 150 gems, and it's a great starter unit that will set you up for success in the game. And last but definitely not least, we have the King of the Empire Noob. This unit is absolutely fantastic when it comes to farming. If you're looking for solid AoE DPS combined with some serious farming power, this unit's got you covered. However, keep in mind that while it's amazing for farming, it can't solo carry as effectively as some of the other units, and its single target DPS isn't exactly on par with other mythic units. But at 250 gems, it's still an essential unit for building a strong defense. So there you have it. Whether you're looking for insane DPS, summoning mobs to back you up, or farming power, these S+ tier units will definitely take your Noob Defense game to the next level. Keep grinding, and may the gems be ever in your favor. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.